You ever see something so insane that, for a second, your brain just shuts down? Like you blink, and the world suddenly looks wrong? Because that's exactly what happened the morning I drove out to my land and found an entire neighborhood sitting on it. Not a shed, not a trailer, 35 fully built houses, standing right where my grandfather used to plant corn. And the wildest part? I didn't sell an inch of it. I remember climbing out of my truck, thinking maybe I turned on the wrong road. But no. There were the trees I planted, the old fence line, the river bend, everything exactly where it always was. Everything except the HOA subdivision that wasn't there the week before. Workers stopped what they were doing and stared at me like I was trespassing on their property. One guy whispered into a radio, "He's here," like I was some kind of threat. And then she came marching toward me, the HOA president, like she was the sheriff of the entire world. Sunglasses, clipboard, that look people get when they're used to bossing everyone around. She didn't say hello, didn't ask who I was. She just said, "You can't be here." And I swear, the way she said it made me laugh, because this wasn't their land. It wasn't the developer's land. It was mine, surveyed, recorded, notarized, passed down through blood. But she didn't care. She waved around a stack of papers full of forged signatures and fake parcel numbers, insisting their developer legally purchased everything. I showed her my own documents, older, thicker, real, and she looked at them like they were inconveniences, not facts. That's the thing about powerful HOAs. They don't see land. They see opportunity. So instead of backing off, they doubled down. They threw lawyers at me, filed nonsense claims, requested endless meetings, and all the while, they kept building. Every time I protested, the HOA president told me the same line, "You can't fight progress." But they had made one fatal mistake. They never bothered to study the land they stole, never checked the floodplain, never walked the riverbank, never even asked why the grass grew in weird patterns. They built their dream subdivision directly in a natural overflow path. A river channel carved by generations of storms. A channel my grandfather spent his life controlling with a small, old, perfectly legal dam. And as if fate wanted to prove a point, a storm rolled in. Not a normal one. A sky-ripping, river-swelling, full-force monster that dropped more rain in 6 hours than we usually get in a month. By midnight, the reservoir behind the dam was rising. By 2 a.m., the emergency gauge was peaking. By 3 a.m., I had a choice to make: keep the dam locked and risk a deadly explosion, or release water like the law required and let the river follow its natural path. And that natural path? It cut right through the 35 homes the HOA built on land they never owned. So I did what my grandfather taught me. I followed procedure, logged everything, called it in, opened the spillway exactly as the safety manual required. And somewhere out there in the dark, the water began to move. When the sun finally rose the next morning, I drove out to the overlook above the subdivision. And there it was, a sight so surreal it didn't feel real at all. The entire HOA neighborhood, the one they built with stolen blueprints and forged documents, was sitting under brown floodwater. Driveways gone, lawns vanished, cars floating like toys, 35 houses surrounded by a river they pretended didn't exist. People were on roofs waving at rescue teams. Developers were screaming at county officials. And the HOA president, oh, she was losing her mind, pacing back and forth in her soaked blazer like she could argue the water back into the reservoir. She looked up at me standing on the ridge and shouted words I couldn't hear over the helicopter blades. But her face said everything. She wanted someone to blame, and she chose me. She pointed, furious, drenched, yelling like I had summoned rainfall with a remote control. But the truth was brutally simple. I didn't cause the flood. They built in the flood. Everything I did that night was documented, filed, reported, by the book, exactly the way the law demands. Emergency management confirmed it. County engineers confirmed it. State inspectors confirmed it. The HOA never surveyed the floodplain, never got proper approval, never researched the land, never respected the dam, and never, not once, listened when I warned them. The flood didn't destroy approved structures. It destroyed illegal ones. Insurance companies refused to pay. The developer tried to run, then went bankrupt. Homeowners sued everyone involved in selling them a lie. And the HOA president resigned the moment she realized the truth couldn't be buried under paperwork. During the final court hearing, the judge didn't waste time. He looked straight at the HOA board and said, "You built on land that did not, and never did, belong to you." And just like that, the entire subdivision was transferred to me as restitution. Every house, every lot, every streetlight, everything they built without permission, now mine. I didn't need revenge. I didn't need a fight. I didn't need to yell or scream or throw a punch. Nature did the talking. The river carried the truth. And in the end, the HOA destroyed itself. Some battles are won with force, some with patience. But the best ones? The ones that settle the score without lifting a finger? Sometimes, you just open the spillway and let the water speak for you. Sometimes life throws you into a fight you never asked for. A fight you didn't start. A fight you don't even want. But you stand your ground anyway, because losing the battle means losing a part of yourself. That's what this whole mess became for me. 35 houses, months of lies, forged documents, court hearings, threats, and a storm that flipped the script in one night. And as I walked through that flooded neighborhood days later, water still pooled in the streets, siding ripped off, silence where there should have been life, I realized something. I didn't win because I was stronger or smarter or louder. I won because the truth refuses to stay buried forever. You can pour concrete over it, build houses on it, sign fake contracts, and try to scare people into silence. But eventually the truth rises. Like water, like a flood you can't stop. The HOA tried to take what wasn't theirs. They tried to buy influence, rewrite maps, rewrite laws, rewrite the past. But they forgot something simple. Land remembers, rivers remember, and nature doesn't negotiate with paperwork. In the end, the judge didn't just hand me back my land. He handed me closure. Those houses, that whole subdivision, it all became mine overnight. Not because I wanted it, but because justice has a strange way of balancing things. One way or another, everyone gets what they've earned. And you know what? I didn't rebuild. I didn't sell. I didn't try to turn that drowned neighborhood into profit. I let the land rest. I let the river breathe again. Because some places aren't meant to be cut into parcels and sold to the highest bidder. Some places deserve to stay exactly as they are. If the story taught me anything, it's this: stand your ground. Even when the odds look impossible. Even when the people against you seem untouchable. Because the moment you give up, they win. But the moment you stay firm, even if you're standing alone, the world has a funny way of shifting back into your favor. So if you've ever been pushed around by people who thought they could walk all over you, if anyone ever tried to take what's yours, if you've ever felt powerless against someone with more money, more connections, more ego, remember this story. Remember what happened when they challenged the land. Remember what happened when the storm came. Remember what happened when the water spoke. Thank you for watching. And if you want more true, dramatic, real-life stories like this one, the kind you feel all the way to the end, make sure you're here for the next one. Because trust me, the next story hits even harder.